Welcome back to Elements of Art and our unit online. I'm Natasha and I have another art question for you. Why does learning about line matter? When will learning about the element of line apply to anything other than drawing or learning about art? Well, as you know, art is all around you, and consequently, so is line. Line is a powerful and versatile element that can be used to create a wide range of effects in art and design, and can convey a wide range of emotions and meanings. The element of line can be found in various forms outside of fine art, including graphic design, architecture, interior design, fashion design, industrial design, even in nature. For example, lines found in the pattern of leaves on a tree, in the structure of a building, in the stitching on a piece of clothing, or in the typography of a website. In today's lesson, we are going to learn more about how line applies to the world around us, and how to see line in the forms of design we see in our daily life. Then, we will learn a bit about something called implied line. In fine art, line is used to create a sense of movement and gesture, to define form and volume, and to convey mood and emotion. A line can be expressive, describing the movement of a figure or the flow of a landscape. But line can be found in many places outside of fine art. And like in drawings and paintings, line is often used to create a sense of movement or structure or form. Working to observe and identify examples of the elements of art in our environment strengthens our ability to use them in our art and compositions. It also shows us how design is part of everyday life. In this lesson, we'll be looking through examples of images that highlight the use of line in our lives. Line can be found in many different forms in our environment, from the natural world to man-made structures and designs. Line plays a crucial role in the way we perceive and understand our surroundings. Let's look more closely at some of the ways line is used in our environment. Architecture is a great place to start. Line is used in building design to create a sense of structure and form. Architects use a variety of lines in their designs, including straight lines, curved lines, diagonal lines, and zigzag lines. Straight lines are often used to create a sense of stability and order, and can be found in the vertical lines of columns and the horizontal lines of beams, lintels, and cornices. They are also used in the structure of the buildings, such as the lines of the steel frame of a skyscraper. Curved lines are used to create a sense of fluidity and movement, and can be found in the forms of arches, domes, and vaults. They are also used in the design of buildings to create a sense of elegance and sophistication. Diagonal lines are used to create a sense of dynamism and movement, and can be found in the forms of sloping roofs and angled walls. Zigzag lines are used to create a sense of movement and visual interest, and can be found in the forms of stepped forms, terraced buildings, and other designs that incorporate sharp angles and geometric shapes. Next, let's look at nature. Line can be found in nature in the form of tree branches, leaves, the flow of water, riverbeds, mountain ranges, coastlines, and more. Plants and trees often have distinct lines that define their structure and shape. The trunk and branches of a tree, for example, create lines that give the tree its overall form and structure. The leaves and needles of a tree also create lines, whether they are straight or curved, that give the tree its characteristic shape. Rivers, mountain ranges, and coastlines all create lines that define the shape and form of the land. These lines can be straight or curved, and can create a sense of movement and flow. Rivers, for example, have a continuous flow that creates a sense of movement, while the lines of a mountain range can create a sense of stability and permanence. In the animal kingdom, lines can be found in the shapes of different animals and their body parts, such as the straight lines of a bird's legs or the curved lines of a snake's body. In addition, lines can also be seen in the patterns and designs on an animal's body, such as the stripes on a tiger. Now let's think about roadways and travel. From the straight lines of a highway to the curved lines of a winding mountain road, lines are used to guide us and create a sense of movement and flow. One of the most prominent examples of line in transportation is the grid pattern of streets and highways. This grid pattern creates a sense of order and organization and makes navigation easier for both drivers and pedestrians. This is an example of good design creating good function and usability. The straight lines of roads and highways also create a sense of movement and flow, allowing for efficient transportation of people and goods. In city planning, line can be used to create a sense of movement and flow as well. It can also define the shape and form of public spaces, such as the lines of sidewalks and bike lanes, creating a sense of accessibility and organization. In industrial design, line can be found in the sleek lines of an automobile, in electronic devices and furniture. Line helps define the intention and performance of a product. In automobile design, lines are used to create a sense of motion and movement, even when the car is standing still. A car's lines can also be used to create a sense of speed and power. Automobile designers often use long, sweeping lines to create a sense of elegance and luxury, while short, sharp lines can convey a sense of sportiness and aggression. In product design, a product with clean, simple lines can convey a sense of minimalism and simplicity, while a product with more complex lines can convey a sense of sophistication and elegance. In furniture design, lines are used to create a sense of movement and flow, as well as to define the shape and form of the piece. Furniture designers often use curved lines to create a sense of comfort and relaxation, while straight lines can convey a sense of modernity and simplicity. In fashion, line is used to create the shape and form of clothing, as well as convey a sense of movement and style. Sometimes fashion can even be considered wearable art. Let's see if you can find some examples of line in these fashion images. What type of line or lines do you identify in the fall of this skirt? Do the straight lines create a sense of stiffness to you or elegance? Using your understanding of line, how would you say that use of line is applied in the design of this suit? Does the strong diagonal add a sense of sophistication, or does it appear too harsh? How is line used in the fabric design of this dress? What effect does it create? The dress has lines that zigzag and oppose each other in their direction. Do you find this to feel lively or aggressive? Fashion designers use lines to create different silhouettes and to create visual interest, and line is also found in the design of patterns and prints on fabrics. So, lines in our environment. They are absolutely everywhere, aren't they? It can be a lot of fun trying to spot how line is used in our environment, both natural and man-made. Line plays such a strong role in shaping our perception and understanding of our surroundings. They create the structure, movement, and flow of our environment. One additional type of line that we haven't gone over yet is implied line. We left this term for last because an implied line is the lack of an actual line. Sounds confusing, doesn't it? But let's go over it a bit more and make it make some sense. Implied line is a technique used in art and design where the viewer's eye is led to follow a path or movement, even though no actual line is present. It is created through the use of shapes, colors, textures, and other elements. In art, implied line can be created through the use of angled objects, repetition of shapes, or the use of negative space. For example, in a painting, a diagonal line created by the position of a figure can imply movement and direction. The direction the figure looks in can also imply a line. And in sculpture, an implied line can be created by the use of negative space, such as the space between two forms that suggests a line connecting them. In a photograph, the repetition of shapes can create a visually implied line. Look at a few additional artwork examples and see if you can find the implied lines. Pause the video and note them in your lesson notes. Many of the lines that we went over finding in the environment are in fact implied lines. When we discussed roof lines and river curves, the zigzags of a stair, these are not drawn lines. They are visually implied. In architecture, implied lines can be created through the structure of a building or through the use of pathways that guide the viewer's eye through the space. In our landscape, implied lines can be created by the flow of water as it cuts through the terrain. In urban design, implied lines can be created through the use of diagonal streets or the repetition of certain architectural elements, such as columns or arches. Use of the element of line and implied line exists in all aspects of our daily environment. It provides our eyes with the guidance and direction that we naturally seek. Look around and note all of the uses of line that you may have not noticed before and consider them to be new inspiration for your own art. And with this new eye for your surroundings, continue to remember that just like the element of line, art is all around you. Hey, hey.